No, we didn't talk about.
What didn't we talk about?
Is hometown cha cha cha, and she's like, do you have a car? Like cha, and he's like cha, and he like pulls out the T, but what's the third cha?
We don't know what the third cha is.
What's the third cha?
What's going on, everybody? My name's Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're
Nick and Joe.
Welcome back, a triumphant return.
It's been a long time since we've done that.
The KDRAMA Club is back.
It's back.
Nick and Joe is back.
We're back.
Crazy. We are back to watch a new K-drama called
Hometown Cha Cha Cha.
Hometown Cha Cha Cha. Who can resist it with a name like that?
Yeah, beautiful name. That I'm sure you loved it when you first heard it. You
Exactly.
said, you gotta watch this.
Joe said we gotta watch this new K-drama, Hometown Cha Cha Cha, and I might have been skeptical. But
we have Kim Seonho from
Yes.
from Startup.
our friend Chi-pyong.
Friend Chi-pyong, so that's why I was a big Chi-pyong stan back in the Startup days. So I was excited to see him in another drama. Wanted
Hooked
to
us
watch it.
right in.
Yep, got us right on board.
All right, so this is coming out 2 episodes at a time, 2 episodes every weekend. We're going to be keeping up with the show every week, so make sure you tune in here. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. We're going to be going over our thoughts of the current episodes and also what we think is going to happen, our overall review of the show. So just make sure you're subscribed. And if you're into K-dramas and K-pop, you want to be subscribed to the channel anyway. So we do all that stuff here. After we take long breaks.
Everyone needs a vacation sometimes.
Yes, this is our comeback, you could say. All right, so Hometown Cha Cha Cha, set the scene for us.
Set the scene. Well, I don't know. I don't even remember how to do this at this point.
I know. Well, first of all, this is made by the same company that makes other K-dramas.
Yeah, like Crash Landing on You for sure.
Crash Landing on You,
Yeah.
which I want to talk more about some parallels that I've seen to Crash Landing on You in this current one.
Yeah.
And so far, first impression with the first 2 episodes is it's very light and funny.
Yes.
Leaning a lot more into humor than previous K-dramas
Yeah,
that we've
it
watched.
doesn't seem as serious, and it also doesn't seem like they're really pushing for like realism. It almost has like this like goofy kind of
Very
vibe
quirky,
to it. Yeah,
yeah.
like it's not trying to be like super like realistic or like it's happening in the real world.
Yes. Do you want to
It's-
set up the plot a little bit for folks?
Yeah, so it's kind of just a little bit about this woman who is a dentist.
Yes, Chi-kwa.
Chi-kwa, very good. And she quits her job because she has some, differing views from her boss. And she ends up going to like the small town by the sea where she went with her parents when she was young. And
She gets stuck.
She gets stuck there.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things happen. I've had a day like this recently.
True.
And
And there's one suspicious fellow there.
one very interesting guy who's
Yes.
kind of all over the place. But yeah, she kind of gets stuck there, and it's a really beautiful town, but there's only one thing wrong with it.
There's no dentist.
There's no dentist. So eventually she ends up kind of deciding to stay there to open her own kind of like dental clinic because her old boss badmouths her to the point where she can't get a job in Seoul anymore.
Yes.
So,
now it's city girl moves into the small town by the sea.
And there's a lot of differing views between
Yes.
the city girl and the small town
Culture
people.
very different in the
Yeah,
small
that's
town.
what I would
Everybody knows everybody. New girl moves into town. It's the talk of the town. And also it seems the way, I don't know if the way the local government is set up or what, but this one dude has every job in the town somehow.
He's just a do-it-all. He's a handyman, and he's a jack of all trades, you could say.
I thought he was the mayor at first.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to say, oh, he's the mayor of the town.
Yeah, he's gonna, and by the end of the show, we'll know he's like the president of Korea or something.
Right. So of course, lots of comical situations ensue with a dentist from Seoul, a young dentist from Seoul, moving to this small town by the sea, and she has to adjust to life in the village, I guess.
And I'll say that in the first 2 episodes, this whole like village aspect is almost like a Twilight Zone kind of vibe to it.
Yes.
Like we were talking, like there were parts of it that almost felt like it was like a horror movie or like a suspense thriller.
Because also, like this is almost a paranormal thing that would happen basically never in real life, but she goes there and then there's completely no cell service.
Yeah.
Well, first her car completely breaks down, battery's dead, nail in the tire. Then the cell service completely goes out.
Yeah, like she can't even like use the machines at the bank. Like everything is like not working.
And then this guy just keeps popping up in every single job. At first I thought they were gonna play it off like he was different people.
Yeah.
It was like brothers or something. But no, it's just one person doing all the jobs. And that is just very like sci-fi, like it seems for sure like a Twilight Zone episode.
And like it was just very like the way that the like people from the town interact with each other and then interact with her like as like an outsider.
Yes.
It had like this weird kind of vibe to it. And like there was this one scene in particular where like she's bringing her to meet a realtor, and she's like, "Oh, I have to go. Just keep walking up this hill until you get to a boat."
Yeah.
And there's like no music or like nothing happening, and it was just very like you were like, this seems like an M. Night Shyamalan movie or something.
Exactly.
Like, it seemed like
it
a
does
horror.
seem like that.
It felt like it was like something scary was about to happen.
Yes.
And I think that it's just kind of like the vibe of how, like I said, like how people treat her versus how they treat each other in the town. It seems kind of like almost like a cult, like at points. But I think it's just supposed to be like that small town, like tight community, and like this kind of like not accepting outsiders. And that's kind of like going to be the theme of the show, is like her learning to accept people that are different from her, and them also learning the same thing, learning how to like accept like an outsider, and kind of like change their views a little bit too.
Yeah. And I'll say the first episode hit the ground running with all of the humor and just like, especially the way she ends up quitting her job and like telling her boss off. I feel like we don't normally see, well, we haven't seen that a lot in some of the K-dramas that we watched. Usually it's very like the young people are very obedient to
very respectful
to the bosses and things like that. So to see that happen, I figured the initial conflict of the show would be between her and the boss, but no, it's like that's over from the jump, and she's moving on. That's basically the inciting incident for the rest of the show. So that was very cool to see and very funny.
Yeah, and I think that this K-drama has been a little bit different from others that we've watched, where like it doesn't spend the whole first episode like setting up like this whole backstory.
Yes.
It kind of like jumps in, and like we're getting the backstory like kind of as you go.
Right.
You're learning like a little bit more and more.
Yeah.
Like in the second episode when it shows them like as kids, like the handyman guy, and then the dentist, like their families kind of like cross paths like on the beach, and they have like these pictures, and they're like from the same day.
Yep.
And like so that kind of thing, and I think we're just gonna keep getting like little flashbacks like that to kind of like connect it all together.
Yes. So by the time first episode ends, she has basically moved to the town. She's got a place to live. She is gonna set up her own dental clinic. She's kind of on her own in this village. By the second episode, her friend's moving to town with her.
Her friend's moving. That was a big shock for me.
Yes, that was a big surprise.
Yeah, I did not. Well, there was that scene where they were like sitting in her old apartment in Seoul when she like packed all her stuff up, and they were both like crying because she was leaving. And I thought in that moment she might like invite her friend to like move, but when that didn't happen, I was like, okay, this is just kind of like to set it up.
Yep.
But then the friend like catches her boyfriend like cheating on her.
Yes.
So she like drives down.
Neither of the girls knew.
Neither of the girls knew.
Crazy.
So she like drives down, and then she ends up staying. So they're gonna live together and work together at the dental clinic.
Yes, and I think that's gonna set up a funny dynamic. I was almost relieved that she has somebody now in the village that is, from her previous life. That's a friend of hers.
Because by that point she had like burned every bridge in the village. Everybody hates her because of some comments that she's made. And
and we should talk about that.
Yeah.
She comes to this village. She doesn't really fit in. There's some like sus comments about like the clothes that she wears when she runs. Like the old people are not into it, which I think is sus. But the thing that she does, sort of like the big nail in the coffin that gets people to really not like her, is she's talking on the phone with her friend, and the intercom is on at this big event, and she's talking smack about this guy who's like really a little bit annoying, but he's kind of also a sweet guy.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a old school like musician, like would have had a #1 song but didn't have a #1 song, and now he runs the cafe. He's just talks about his music a lot.
Yeah, and it's more like he has like regrets, and I think he's like trying to express that through like telling the story, or like he wants to be recognized for like his achievement that he had, or that he feels like he had with like his song that was a #2 song.
Yes,
but
it's a tragic story.
Yeah, but nobody remembers it, and then like. So
she gets caught talking on the phone to her friend about how lame this guy is, and she doesn't want to hear any more about his song. And so in that moment, everybody at the event hears it. But I think what's also cool in that moment is her friend kind of says something like, people still having hope in their hearts is a good thing, or something like that. And it kind of like, if even if the mic hadn't been on in that moment, I think she still would have had like a moment of realization, like, wow, I shouldn't just like talk down to
exactly.
these people for whatever. But the people did hear it, and now the whole village is mad.
Yeah, everybody hates her.
Yeah.
So that's when like it turns into this very kind of like awkward
She
dynamic.
has to earn their respect.
Exactly. So, but the handyman guy, for whatever reason, likes her or is guiding her through like learning how to kind of relate to these people and like kind of change her views on kind of being outside the city.
Right.
And he is helping her earn their trust back. So in the first episode, he's like super nice to everybody, talking to everybody.
Everybody loves him.
Everybody loves him, but when he talks to her, he's like very cold and
Yes.
like doesn't. And I think it's like the whole outsider thing.
He's being protective of his people, I guess.
Exactly. But it's really weird because it shows, at the end of the episode, it shows like a flashback where he's watching her do all the things she did in the town, and like every time he's like smiling, and like you can tell that he kind of like has like a crush on her.
These are star-crossed lovers,
Star-crossed
as
lovers.
is with all these K-dramas.
Yeah, exactly. But I find it very strange that he is like acting cold to her and like being mean to her, and then like secretly like kind of
He's crushing on her.
Yeah. But I just don't like that.
He doesn't want to show it.
Yeah, and I think we'll learn more about like his character in the future as to why that is, but I find that to be like really confusing right now, why he's not just kind of, I think by the second episode he's being more like warm to her and like being helpful, and like he's still like kind of like being kind of like coy and like sly and kind of like poking fun at her a little bit. But he's not being like cold to her and mean to her.
And there are little key flirty things he says here and there, like, "Oh, are you leaning on me?" Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, and they kind of like raise an eyebrow a little bit,
exactly.
but we know what's coming. We know that something is going to come.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, by the end of episode 2, we find out that they have been connected in some way since being children. They had a random connection meeting on that beach with their parents when they were young kids. Not that they would ever remember it, or not that they even spoke to each other. But of course.
Yeah.
Is this a good moment to talk about the parallels crash landing on you?
I would say the one thing that we forgot to mention is the shoe situation.
Oh, the shoe.
She bought
Cinderella
she bought the expensive shoes, and then she went walking down the beach and left the shoes there, and they kind of got washed away in the tide, I imagine. And when he was out on a surfboard, he found one of them and gave it back to her, but she only got one of the 2 shoes, and they were like these really, really expensive shoes that she decided to like splurge and buy herself when she quit her job.
After she got fired.
Yeah. So there's gonna be something later with the second shoe.
Does the second shoe come back?
The second shoe's got to come back later.
We need the predictions.
They're gonna
in
be
the
like
comments.
sitting on the beach together. It's gonna be like this crazy moment where they're like fighting and like something, and then the shoe is just gonna like wash up in the water or something.
I was assuming that he has.
Like he has the other shoe.
Yes,
and he was like
it's gonna be one night.
it.
He's gonna open the box and it's gonna be the 2 shoes.
Maybe he was like holding it as like a way to like keep a connection to her in some way, like because it showed him like sitting out on the surfboard, like watching her before they even interacted and just like smiling.
Yeah.
So maybe he like saw her but I think that, I don't know, he doesn't seem like that kind of guy. I think the shoe is gonna turn up in kind of a random way.
We'll have to wait to see when the shoe drops.
And remind them of like that maybe in a tough spot, the shoe comes back and reminds them like, oh.
You could write these shows.
Yeah, I know.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think I think the love is gonna come like somewhere halfway through the show, and then there's gonna be some sort of adversity where they're like, oh, maybe we can't do this, maybe we don't belong together,
and then the
shoe or something like that will come up and
just
remind
washes
them,
on like a wave
them.
comes up and it's the shoe. Oh, that will be amazing.
Or like a fisherman will come up and be like,
reels it in.
Yeah, like in the nets.
Because he goes fishing.
Yeah, so he'll like reel it in on a net or something.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be something like this.
I hope so.
It's gonna be something like this.
Okay, listen up. One of our favorite dramas, Crash Landing on You. It's a fantastic drama. I assume many people have seen it, but if you haven't, highly recommend. This show, even being by one of the same production companies, is drawing a lot of parallels in good ways, I would say. First of all, you have this, I guess, fish out of water story where you have this woman who ends up in a place where she doesn't, quote unquote, belong.
It's like very foreign to her.
Very foreign to her.
She doesn't fit in.
She doesn't fit in. There's this amazing ensemble cast of like very funny people, but like a small group of people that are all kind of aware of each other, and they all play like different parts, being comedic, being slightly scarier, one you're supposed to be sympathetic towards, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The villagers, the people that live in the seaside village don't really like her, and there's this group of older women that are kind of like, you know, bad-mouthing her, very similar to the group of women that don't like the main character of Crash Landing on You at first in the North. And I think what's going to ultimately happen is they're going to come around and they're going to love her.
Exactly.
They're going to go to her to be a dentist, to be their dentist, and it's going to be great. And of course, you have the two leads that are somehow connected. You know, we saw this in Crash Landing on You. They had no idea that they were connected.
Yeah.
It was by the piece of music, and you know, they had these moments where they didn't know, but they had actually met each other before.
Yeah.
Same exact thing happening here. They're children and they met before. See if they unravel that even more. Like maybe the parents returned there multiple years.
Yeah, or maybe they passed across more than just that one time.
Right.
Or
They always
passed across,
like. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept introducing more instances of them running into each other across the show.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a very good thing. This show is obviously much lighter and way less dramatic than Crash Landing on You.
So far. Yeah, definitely so far it's not, I don't think it's going to have that kind of like intense feeling to it. It's more kind of, I think there will be very intense moments. I think there already have been some like slightly intense moments, like when he goes to her house to like deliver the package and he's like, not everyone has I mean, you've had an easier life than a lot of people. Maybe not super easy, but there have only been bumps along the way, and some people are like climbing up mountains.
Right.
So like in those, I think there's going to be a lot of intense moments like that.
Yeah.
And I think particularly between them two, because he seems like the only person in the town that's committed to helping her, wanting to help her understand like the difference, and everyone else is just like, she doesn't understand us, and he wants to help her understand.
Yes, and I think it's a very thoughtful show in that way.
Yeah.
One aspect we didn't touch on is like the parental relationship. So clearly something happened with her mom.
Yeah.
Her mom must have passed away or gotten sick or something.
Yeah.
And she just talks to her dad.
And there's like a stepmom kind of figure or something like that.
Yeah, I don't really understand because she calls the house on her mother's birthday. She just talks to the father. But then the stepmother situation, she says you don't have to be so cold when you talk to her. Yeah. So it seems like there is just strain on the parental relationship.
It could be her mother, but he also says like, hey, what's the date today to the other woman? And she says the date, and it was supposed to be the mom's birthday.
Right.
So that would lead me to think that that's not the same person.
Exactly.
Because she would be like, oh, it's my birthday.
That's what I was confused about.
Yeah, so I think it's like it's like a stepmother, or like maybe like her mother passed away and then he remarried or something.
Right.
So there is some weird thing with that going on that we don't really fully know about yet.
Yeah.
And then I think one last thing that I want to talk about is the music.
Yes, the music is very fun in this show.
Yeah, I think like right from the get-go you said like you can tell it's going to be a good one just by the way the cinematography and just by the way the music was. It like has this very like there's been like a few kind of like songs like with people singing.
There's been two songs with vocals.
Yeah.
And one by the guy who's the pop star. Former pop star. Yeah. The second one is the song, that very like upbeat song that they play with the la la las in the outro.
Oh yeah, and then the rest of it is just like usually there's like this like soft piano song that plays a lot, and then there's like this like super bouncy like kind of hokey like music that happens a lot, like very like small town energy. But it's almost like funny too, like.
And then every time they get into a conflict, there's the Spanish guitar music.
Yeah.
It's kind of all over the place because then there's the Wii style like music. But it just makes the show so much more fun.
Yeah, I was saying it's very like whimsical sounding. It's just very bouncy a lot of the time, and it's very interesting.
Yes,
and it suits it very well.
Yes, I'm hoping that piano ballad we keep hearing, I'm hoping that eventually evolves into a full song.
Like it has words
and stuff.
Exactly.
We're waiting for a good Gaho song in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't know if it's going to be there. We haven't researched the soundtrack or anything. I'm not sure if it's out yet. Do you even know if
I don't know if it's
out? We'll
yet.
have to look it up.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to listen to the soundtrack before we finish because it's going to spoil the show.
Yeah, you need to.
I want to hear it happen in the moment.
You need those songs to be connected to the moment.
Because they get connected to emotion, and then you can't stop thinking about the show when you think about it.
Yeah, you listen to the song and like you just think of things that happen in the show while you're listening to it.
Right.
So I think we wait till the end, and we'll probably get we'll get a good soundtrack.
For sure.
We always do.
Yes. So. Well, Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, despite my trepidation at first, based on the name, has brought the K-Drama Club back from the dead on this channel. Back from the dead, yeah. And we are very excited to watch more. We'll be watching more this weekend, so please make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss our next video talking all about the next 2 episodes of Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. If you did enjoy this video, comment down below, let us know what you're thinking of the show, let us know what we can do to improve the videos, and like the video on your way out, check some other videos out on our channel, all that good stuff. Did I do it right?
I think you did it right.
All right, well I guess that's going to be it. See you all next episode. My name is Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Nick and Joe.